Assalamualaikum and welcome to another episode of Zulfit TV. My name is Azmir. Today I'm going to answer your question whether you can use your XF80 attachments on the new Eleiko Prestera half rack. As usual, I will start with a little bit of background on why we are doing this episode. Since I made the unboxing video of the Prestera half rack, I've got a few questions about whether you can use your XF80 attachments with the Prestera half rack. As you know, the Prestera half rack has been built from ground up, so everything is totally different. One of the major difference between the XF80 line and the Prestera line is the size of the uprights. The XF80 is 3x3 inches and this is 70 by 70 mm. So this is smaller than the XF80. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use all the XF80 attachments that I have in the showroom, and I'm going to show you whether or not it fits, and I'll give you my opinion whether it's usable or not. Okay, so what sort of attachments do I have? Number one, I have the safety arm. Number two, obviously the J-cups. Number three, I have the adjustable pull-up handles. Number four, I have the dips module. Number five, I have the bar holder and also the Eleiko joystick, which is used for landmine exercises. I've also thrown in a J-cup from Rogue's yoke. I cannot remember the model of the yoke. You can just look it up yourself on the website. I think with what I have here would be sufficient enough for you to draw your conclusion on whether or not it can fit on the Prestera half rack. Okay, so let's get started. Let's start with the safety arms. So I have here the galvanized safety arm. This is the second model. The first model I think is no longer in production. So let me just select a hole. As you can see, it fits nicely. However, it's a bit wobbly. Then again, I don't know whether you can see this, but the Prestera's safety arm also wobbles, but it is locked in place. It seems to be okay, but there's a gap here, right? So you can see I can just put my finger through there, and if you put this on the XF80 upright, you can't even fit anything in there. Okay, so again, that's the difference between the size of the upright, which causes the gap right there. But otherwise, can it be used? I dare not make that recommendation. But if I compare the wobbliness of the safety arms, both are wobbly. But I suppose if you drop something on here, it's still going to be safe. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Next, let's move on to the J-cup. This is the Eleiko XF80 J-cup. This is the Prestera gliding J-cup. Okay. No. There you go. Once again, it fits because the size of the hole is the same as the XF80. However, back here there is a gap. I can demonstrate it by just pushing this in front. Yeah, see, can you see that? Yeah. Okay, is it safe or not? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to take the Rogue's J-cup, which is from the yoke. So the yoke actually is not 3x3, it's even smaller. And obviously you can guess that it wouldn't fit. This is the Rogue's J-cup from the yoke. Okay. It goes through the hole just fine, but because it is so much smaller, the upright on the yoke is so much smaller than this, it doesn't fit on the Prestera half rack. Okay, so no to Rogue. I'm just kidding. Next, let's do the dips module. The dips module come with the magnetic pin. Let's just see whether the magnetic pin goes through the hole. Yes, it does. Right, so interesting. The magnetic pin doesn't stick on the stainless steel upright. Stainless steel doesn't have magnetic properties? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, let me try the rear upright. Oh, interesting. This one works. So, okay, never mind. Let's just test the dip. Okay. As you can see up here, there's a hook that hooks onto one of the holes, and then you use the magnetic pin and then stick it through the other hole right over here. Okay. Now, the spacing of the holes on the Prestera half rack is different. Is different than the spacing on the XF80 racks. So I measured it. The spacing on the Prestera is about 50 mm. So from the midpoint of one hole to the other is 50 mm. Now if you get the stainless steel upright, on the front right here the spacing is 25 mm. That's one of the selling point of the Prestera half rack, because you have all these minor adjustments that you can make. However, the gap between the holes on the XF80 is about 35 mm. So they're different. That's why the dip module, the distance between this hook right here and the hole, it doesn't match the upright of the Prestera racks. Next is the bar holder. So this thing has dual function. Number one is for you to put your bar. So that means if you buy a half rack, whatever rack, you can just hook it up on one of the uprights and then you can just put your bar inside. The second function is to use as a landmine. So with the landmine, you need this attachment. It's called Eleiko joystick. It's this thing right here. So what you do is just you put this on the upright and slot this in, and it becomes a joystick. Okay. Now, does this fit onto the Prestera uprights? Let's see. So behind the bar holder, as you can see, there's one short pin, and then there's a hole where you put the bolts through. Okay, so this alone will not hold the bar holder onto the upright. So if oh no, you cannot see from there. Okay, so as I mentioned before, the holes and the pin fit, okay, because they are the same size. However, remember with the dips module, the hole on the dips module does not align with the hole on the upright. And similar to this, the holes doesn't align. So verdict is you can't use this on the Prestera half rack. The last item on the list is quite difficult to show, especially when I'm doing this alone, which is the adjustable pull-up bar. Adjustable pull-up bar, I think it's called adjustable pull-up bar. The adjustable pull-up bar has a, how do I show this? So it latches onto the frame on the cross member like so, and then you hold it in with the bolts that goes through these two holes right here. Okay, so let me just show you. I don't know how to do this. I have to climb up there while holding this camera on one hand and this on the other. Bismillah. Okay, I'm on top of the world right now. This is kind of dangerous, but for the sake of science, let's see what I can do. Okay, what I did now is that because I didn't want to move this straight pull-up bar, so I hung the adjustable pull-up bar on the other end. So as you can see from here, number one, can you see? Yeah. Well, just take my word for it. The holes doesn't align. The holes doesn't align at all. I think that's expected because the hole spacing between the XF80 racks and also the Prestera is different. Next, obviously because of the size of each cross member and each upright on the Prestera is smaller than the XF80, you can see that there's a gap. So even if the holes align, you will still have that gap. Okay. Verdict on the adjustable pull-up bar. So verdict on the adjustable pull-up bar, no, you cannot use it on the Prestera half rack. What can we conclude from our little experiment today? Number one, can you use the XF80 attachments with the Prestera half rack? It depends. Okay, so it depends on which attachment that you are referring to. We've seen that you probably could use the J-cup, the safety arms, and not much else. Even so, that's not something that I would recommend, because I think it was designed for the XF80 racks and whatever, and the attachments on the Prestera were designed for the Prestera half rack. And I know that when Eleiko builds something, it's usually there's a lot of engineering that goes behind it. There's a lot of design that goes behind it. So would I recommend? For safety's sake, I wouldn't. But it totally depends on you. If you have these attachments already and you just want to get the frame for, like, say, the Prestera half rack, I suppose you can do so, but please understand the risk that you are taking. Okay, safety always comes first. Secondly, I also got this question that Eleiko only makes the attachments to fit their rack system. Now, I am sure that there is a reason behind why that's the case, and I'm assuming is that obviously as a company they would want to sell their own products and not allow the customers to buy from other manufacturers to use with their rack system. However, I also think that this is normal with any company, because you want to maximize your own revenues and sales, right, and profit. So you want people to get your equipment, you're going to get your product. I assume it's the same also for big companies, like even Apple. I remember when they came out with their own charger, they don't use the normal chargers. So everybody had to buy their product until, of course, somebody came out with the knockoffs. So I assume that maybe somebody would be able to make all these attachments based on the measurements of the Prestera line. But I don't think that it's nefarious. I don't think there's a nefarious reason behind it. I think it's just business. Obviously, most of you who have your own racks and attachments would be disappointed that you cannot use those attachments with this rack. So I guess that's a decision that you guys have to make, whether or not you want to swap the whole system, or you just live with the racks and attachments that you have. I do hope that the attachments that Eleiko will make are not limited to what's available on Eleiko's website. This looks like a good opportunity for Eleiko to have more attachments to compete with all the other name brands out there. I especially would love if some of the attachments that other manufacturers have, like plate stacks, jammer arms, and things of that nature, something with a pulley system maybe, and I hope that they will develop those types of attachments in the future, because I think it's a good opportunity. When you come out with a new product, you want to make sure that it lasts as long as possible and maximize your profit as much as possible. So in order this is just my opinion, in order to do so, you need to have a roadmap, right? So with a roadmap, that first you need to create the ecosystem. You need to create the base ecosystem, which is the rack, which they've already done, and then you start adding to it the attachments, right? So people are always enticed by what they can do with just a single system, and I think this is how I believe that Eleiko can capture the market right now, because I do believe that once someone buys a rack, a whole an ecosystem, right? Let's say they buy a Rogue, right? Rogue has a lot of attachments. It's very difficult for that person to move. Just like point number 1 or 2, I can't remember, there are just 2 points. If you already have an attachment, you already have a rack, it's most likely you're not going to change. Unless you're running a commercial gym and you want to refresh your gym, then that's a different story, right? So you can invest on something that can last you the next 5-10 years or even more. So by creating this new rack ecosystem, I think there's a huge opportunity for Eleiko to capture some of the market out there right now, especially those who are just setting up their home gym, and those who intend to refresh their home gym or also commercial gyms. For me, this Prestera half rack looks like it's the future for at least the rack system in Eleiko. I believe that this is modular because looking at the pictures of their Prestera double half rack, Prestera half rack, and also the power rack, they seem to share the same base, the same uprights, the same cross member, the I don't know what you call this thing, the attachment, so they are all the same. So basically, if I wanted to make this into a double half rack, all I need to do is just add another one of these uprights, and then I'll have I'll have a double half rack. That is the beauty of this system. Not only that, I don't know whether I mentioned this in my previous video on the Prestera half rack. This thing takes less space than the XF80 rack system. So I compared the measurements between this half rack and also the half rack, the XF80 half rack. It is at least or about 10 centimeter shorter and less wide than the XF80 half rack. I might be wrong. Sometimes my mathematics is not very good, you know, but it seems that it's smaller and it looks that it takes a smaller space. Okay, so I believe this Prestera half rack is designed for the next 5-10 years maybe, and I just can't wait for what Eleiko will come up with in terms of the attachments. So the future is exciting, and I hope that I've answered your questions in this video with regards to whether or not you can use the XF80 attachments with the Prestera half rack or Prestera rack system. I hope you are not too disappointed, and I hope that you are encouraged to swap your existing system with the Eleiko Prestera ecosystem. It is beautiful though. I mean, look at the stainless steel. By the way, you can opt for the normal black powder coat uprights, but this thing looks amazing. I hope this video has been informative. If you liked it, please click the like button. If you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on the notification. I might get all the attachments for the Prestera racks. Right now I only have the J-cup and also the safety arms. There are a bunch of other things that are available. So inshallah, if my finances allow, I will get the rest and show you guys what you can do with this Prestera racks. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next Zilfit TV episode. Bye guys.